Greetings, you nested ghouls. I hope you're doing well. My name is Graham on LRRMTG, and today it's the Crack-a-Pack, and the pack we are cracking is this pack of Mirrodin Besieged. This was given to us by Scott Campbell, aka MTG Pack Foils on Twitter, at MagicCon 2024 in Chicago, which was a delightful time. Speaking of delightful times, Mirrodin Besieged was the first pre-release that happened after most of us in the office here got into Magic. Got heavily into Magic. Although I suppose that the Scars of Mirrodin one did, but we didn't know what a pre-release was. Mirrodin Besieged is the first pre-release we went to. They had a whole sort of, are you Team Mirrodin or Team Phyrexian thing? And I can't remember. I think I said Phyrexian. I don't know that there was like a correct choice or that it actually... No, it did matter. They had special packs. It was a whole themed thing. It didn't matter who won. It was going to be New Phyrexia at the end of it. They did that cool thing where they were like, what's it going to be? New Phyrexia or Mirrodin Pure? And they mocked up the box art for Mirrodin Pure. They were never making that. They knew what they were doing, but it was very clever. Anyway, Mirrodin Besieged. It's got poison. First up, Master's Call. 2 and a white. For an instant, make 2 1/1 mirror. Love the mirror. They're adorable. 3 mana for this effect? I guess you care about them being artifacts, because Raise the Alarm is only 1 and a white for 2 1/1s, but those are merely soldiers, whereas these are adorable little wobots. Yeah. Next, Copper Carapace. I mean, put a mirror to a Copper Carapace and suddenly it's a 3/3 that can't block. But anyway, it's a single mana for an artifact. It's equipment. It equips for 3 and it gives the creature +2/+2 and can't block. Because it's big, I guess. I don't know why it can't block. Maybe it's just kind of immobile. It'll hit you real hard, but it can't like get away. Sure, fine, why not? Fangren Marauder. 5 and a green. 6 mana 5/5. Is there upside? Yes, when an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may gain 5 life. Now this is balanced 2 different ways. 1, it was harder than you thought in Limited to like have a bunch of artifacts go to the graveyard. 2, your life total wasn't what was going to kill you or not. Like, obviously there were games where that mattered and then Fangren Marauder could do stuff, but the main balance point for this is that you're much more likely to die from poison in this format. Hexplate Golem, 7 mana for a 5/7 golem. I'm done reading the card. Yes. Creatures with no abilities. What's it like? I don't necessarily miss vanilla creatures. I know that much hay has been made about we haven't had a vanilla creature in years. I like when creatures do stuff. But there is something very clean about like, what's this do? Well, it's 7 mana, 5/7. I don't know. What can you do with it? You know, I dig it. Hexplate Golem is like medium, but vanilla creatures in general are... we could have a couple. Ardent Recruit is a 1 white mana for a 1/1 human soldier, and that's it, unless you have 3 artifacts, in which case you have demonstrated your metalcraft, and then metalcraft happens, and it turns into a 3/3. Then it's a 3/3 for 1. Yeah. It's not like the best metalcraft payoff, but it's cool. That was the Mirrodin side of it. The Mirrodins had metalcraft, where things got better and cooler if you had a bunch of artifacts. And the Phyrexian side had, we don't care about that, we'll kill you with poison. Morbid Plunder. 1 black for a sorcery. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah. Love a good this effect. I was going to reference it by calling it the name of a more recent version of this, but then I realized that I guess it's more of a Morbid Plunder effect. Mirror Sire is 2 mana for a 1/1 mirror, and when Mirror Sire is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you make a 1/1 mirror artifact creature token. So it's a 1/1 for 2, and then when it dies, you get a 1/1. So really, it's 2 power and toughness for 2 mana, 2 colorless mana. 2 generic mana, pardon me. It's just that they're not all there at the same time. It's useful for, like, you know, aristocrat-y type things. Your Fangren Marauder maybe gains you 5 life. Banishment Decree. 3 white for an instant. Put target artifact, creature, or enchantment on top of its owner's library. So you just don't want to look at it right now. You get it out of here, and maybe it'll come back. It'll probably come back. This card's not very good. Blight Widow. Oh yeah, here we go. 3 and a green for a 2/4 with reach. It's just Giant Spider. And it has Infect. Giant Spider with upside? Heck yeah. So Infect, I realize if you're a more recent player, you may be familiar with poison counters from the recent set. Phyrexia All Will Be One. But those poison counters come from spells and an ability called Toxic, which is just if you deal combat damage, you do toxic number of poison counters. Infect is when this creature deals combat damage to a player, it deals that many poison counters. So this is a 2/4 with Infect, meaning if it hits you, you get 2 poison counters. So poison was happening a lot. Infect also, if it dealt combat damage to creatures, it dealt that damage in the form of -1/-1 counters, which is very similar to an effect called Wither from a different set where damage was dealt as -1/-1 counters. So Infect, it was lethal to creatures, it was lethal to players. You're like, well, I want to block that, but then my creature's going to get smaller. It's, Infect might have been a little powerful. Blight Widow rules, by the way. Tangle Hulk, 5 mana, 5/3 artifact beast, and for 2 and a green, regenerate Tangle Hulk. You want to talk about regenerate real quick? I know you do. Okay. They stopped printing it because it's confusing. And you at home watching this, likely an enfranchised player, maybe you've been playing for as long as we have, and you go, well, I know how regenerate works. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult once you know it, but learning how regenerate works, they've done tests, like Wizards has done tests. Also, just anecdotally, it's confusing. So this has 2 and a green for regenerate. So if you cast a removal spell targeting my Tangle Hulk, I pay 2 and a green. And that puts this like intangible regeneration bubble around the creature. Then your destruction spell or your burn spell resolves, and that bubble goes away, and I tap my Tangle Hulk. But you can respond to that one with a different spell, and you can sort of get under it like that. Also, you can't regenerate from having 0 toughness, so minuses don't help, like from the -1/-1 counters from Infect. So if it just gets too small, it'll just die. In combat, if the bubble pops, the creature gets tapped and removed from combat. You can't do it more than once. Like, the thing is, you can be like, I Doomblade your creature. Okay, I'll activate regenerate. Well, then in response to that, I lightning bolt your creature. Okay, then I'll activate it a second time, and then that bubble goes off, and then it survives the lightning bolt, and then the other one goes off, and then it survives the Doomblade. But you can't like stack them up. They're not like shield counters. Shield counters as close as they've come to like sort of fixing this. Anyway, also if it does in combat, it's also like removed from combat. So like if you're blocking with a regenerate creature and then they kill it and you activate regenerate, then it lives but is tapped and is no longer blocking, so it doesn't deal damage. And then I think that if the attacking creature has trample, then it would trample over in that scenario. Look, I know how it works, and it's just a real mouthful to explain. I don't miss it. Let's put it that way. I think deciding to pump the brakes on regenerate was generally a good idea. Viridian Claw. 2 mana for an equipment. The equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has first strike and equips for 1. You know, as cheap equipments go, that's pretty good. I dig it. Ooh, Signal Pest. It's a 1 mana 0/1 pest with Battle Cry, and it can't be blocked except by creatures with flying or reach. Battle Cry is whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. This was the other Mirrodin thing that they could do. They had Metalcraft and Battle Cry. Also, take a look at this art. The head is not what you think it is. What you think is the head, what I thought was the head for a very long time, that's left claw. Right claw is holding that piece of razor grass in the foreground, and the head is going sort of in between. And now you know. Septic Rats. Gross. 1 black for a 2/2 rat with infect. See previous comments. And whenever it attacks, if defending player is poisoned, the rats get +1/+1 until end of turn. Ooh, so they attack as a 3/3 infect? If you've managed to get one on there already? Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good. We have a land, it's a plains. We have a poison counter. Poison counter reminder thing where you can track your poison separate from your life total. That's excellent. And our rare, ooh-wee, Phyrexian Crusader. 1 black for a 2/2 zombie knight with first strike, protection from red and from white, and infect. Ooh, Phyrexian Crusader is a beating. Especially, I mean, in this format in particular. Ooh-wee. Well, the pack was like, okay overall, which I think is fairly standard for a Mirrodin Besieged draft booster, if I'm remembering this correctly. But Phyrexian Crusader, a very good rare. It should not shock you that Phyrexian Crusader would be my first choice of card to take out of this pack. It's also worth the most out of this pack, north of $4. The pack as a whole is over $7, which is honestly pretty impressive for a pack from, oh, I'm not going to like this, 2011. You know what? That didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. But yeah, Septic Rats and Signal Pest and Fangren Marauder all posting higher numbers than perhaps I would have expected. Though, as Paul pointed out to me, Fangren Marauder, in the world of clues and treasure and food, maybe Fangren Marauder's putting in work. It might be kind of an interesting inclusion in a game of Commander. For 6 mana, 5/5, I don't know, gain yourself a whole bunch of life? Sure, why not? Anyway, that's going to do it for this pack of Mirrodin Besieged. It was fun to walk down this specific sliver of memory lane, so thank you, Scott, for this pack. I enjoyed that very much. Until next time on the Crack-A-Pack, I have been Graham, joined by Paul on tech. Matt edits these with Jordan. Heather gets them online. Thank you all so much for watching and supporting everything we do here at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. We'll talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.